Hey all, this is the first of six short interviews I did at Low Carb Denver 2023, and the link is down below to get the full 3 days of the Denver conference. It was superb. So, panels, debates, all the speakers, huge amount of entertainment for I think 99 bucks. And this interview is with Brian Sanders of Food Lies, and he started making a movie around 6 or 7 years ago that will completely expose the nutrition and food industry nonsense we've suffered for the past several decades. And I'm just going to show you a real short clip from his trailer now. Here we go.
So that's how it started, a 6-year-long exhaustive journey. I interviewed over 200 nutritionists, biologists, archaeologists, and every other ist you can imagine. I even started a top 5 nutrition podcast that's downloaded in over 145 countries. It sucked up every last minute and nickel I had, but it was worth it. Because here's what I figured out. The history of how we got here is insanely complicated, but the answers are pretty darn simple.
So there you are. This is going to be a top quality movie. He interviewed me and Dr. Gerber and many others around 6 years ago or 5 years ago in San Diego. And he was thinking he'd get the movie out in the following year or two. But it's been a long time because he's gone for gold. This is going to be special. So let's go to the interview now. And at the end, I'll show you the full trailer. As I say, he's gone for top quality. He's traveled around the world and to Africa, etc. But enjoy our brief chat. It's a bit of fun. Here at Low Carb Denver 2023, and I've met up with Brian Sanders, who is making what I think might be one of the best movies on the whole nutrition sphere of all time. Am I overstating that, Brian?
Oh, that's what we're trying to do. That's what I've been telling people.
Excellent. Well, you know, I might start off with that talk you gave, which I loved and I've shared so much. You were at some kind of major food industry conference. You somehow got on stage and you explained how, and then you did a 15-minuter about the value of meat and even covered climate change, myths, and I think you got clapped, but I'm not sure. So let's see.
Well, yeah, I don't know how they pitted it, they framed it as a debate with me against a vegan. And she wasn't even vegan, she ate fish, and I'm not, and they said carnivore versus vegan, I'm not carnivore. But they gave me some stage time. There was all the big companies like Tyson Chicken and Beyond Meat and all the fake meat. The whole conference was basically a fake meat, fake food, like the future of food. And I was there, the one person supporting meat. So my presentation was called Why We Should Eat More Meat, Not Less. And I didn't get a good reception, but then afterwards there was a few pro-meat people that they're like, okay, good job. But basically, I laid out all the points of why humans thrive on meat, not all meat, but why we need animal foods in our diet. And I just rapid fired it for 15 minutes, just covered everything from evolution. You know, I started with the stomach acidity and our small intestine, large intestine, and how we require these nutrient-dense foods to grow our brains, and how we got smaller since we stopped eating these foods and relied more on agriculture. And then I just took us through the entire story in 15 minutes, all the way to debunking some of those climate myths. And basically I just stole your stuff, Peter Bralestad's stuff, Frank Mittloner's stuff, Bill Schindler's stuff. You know, I basically just packaged all this great information that our whole space has been putting out and put it into 15 minutes. And yeah, I think I beat that. Then they gave us a little 10-minute debate after I did that, and I think I won that. So.
Well, to be honest, Brian, I was astounded. It was a tour de force because I always strive to try and get as much information as understandable as possible into my various talks. But I must say, like, that 15-minuter, it got all the biggies in there. It flowed. It was inherently convincing. You know, it wasn't just convincing data. It felt genuine and authentic, so kudos to you. I'm going to switch now because these are just shorts at Low Carb Denver 2023, but you interviewed myself and I think Dr. Gerber many years ago in San Diego for an upcoming movie, and you're still working on it, so I reckon it's going to be amazing because you're doing all the work, you're leveling it up. So maybe we talk a bit about the movie.
Absolutely, yeah, it's been a 6-year journey. So that was one of the first interviews I did, and man, we went to Africa 2 years ago. Like, we're going huge. Like, we spent time with the Hadza, the Maasai. Like, we're telling this entire story. It's kind of like that 15-minute presentation I did on steroids. So first I did that 15-minute presentation. Then we were like, okay, we're going to make a 2-hour film. then we're like, we can't even fit all this information in 2 hours, and who's going to watch a 2-hour documentary anyway? So we just decided to make it into a 6-part series. So we're pitching it around to Netflix this summer. We have some interest in some celebrities actually to back it that I can't name yet. And if anyone knows any other celebrities that eat meat and aren't afraid to tell people, because it's hard. We're going against this narrative, especially Hollywood, right? They don't like this narrative. They don't like all the Hollywood actors, all these famous people are plant-based. They're pushing the plant-based products. They're making a lot of money off these things. So there's not a lot of money in this message. And you know that. You have to independently produce your films and your content, right?
Yeah, it's a reality for sure, and it doesn't surprise me at all. And I sometimes nastily say, all these actors that become huge influencers, well, it wasn't exactly highly scientific and technical and logical brains that got them all their big books. So unfortunately, they're not the ideal people to be talking on such matters. But you're right, politically, ideologically, they've all gone that way. As a matter of interest, in terms of Netflix or other formats, do you think that'll be a bit of a problem too, that even those will be a bit worried about not following the nonsense narrative of plant-based?
I have been worried about that. There's 2 distribution companies that have sought me out, and they want to represent me, and they think that it's fine, and they work with Netflix all the time. But I did hear that Dinah Rogers and Rob Wolf didn't get on Netflix, and I haven't talked to them. I want to follow up with Rob and ask why. I have a feeling it could have just been money, because I know Netflix lowballs people. And they're like, oh, you spent like $500,000 and 4 years making something? Here's $50K, And because they're like, we're Netflix. And I might just do that. I just might take that terrible deal just to get it out there. If I have to, I will do that, because I'm not doing this for money. Like, this whole thing has just turned into like my life's project. And, maybe I'll make some money off nose to tail. Like, I started a company along the way to help support me. But now people are saying, oh, you have a meat company. Are you biased? I'm like, no. I went down, it's been an 8-year journey of understanding how animal foods are healthy. And then after 4 years, I started a regenerative meat company with local small ranchers, right? Totally different. I don't make any money off it anyway. There's no profit margin. This is actually a big story, is that there's no profit in Whole Foods, right? So it's like, why does the world like how it works? It's because all the money's in the processing. I always say profits in the processing. So they can fund all the studies, they fund the science, the fake science, they fund all the marketing campaigns, lobbying, right? It's like, we have no chance. So that's why we're just doing this independent film, really. There's no big backers. It's just all private individuals backing this. And we're going to have to just do it ourselves. And I think we do have a really good chance to get on Netflix, because we're not overstepping our bounds. Over the years, I've learned we can't get stuck in a camp. Like, maybe in the beginning when I interviewed you and Jeff, it was a little bit more of like a keto film. This is a low-carb keto film. Now we've transcended that into a lot, like, of course, the same values, right? And all the same messaging, but to the audience, the mainstream audience, it's not like, oh, this is a low-carb film, or this is a carnivore film, or this is this. It's just like, this is a real food film. This is explaining why basically everything you've heard from on high is wrong, and this is why animal foods are healthy, and this is why processed foods are bad. And so it's like a sneaky way to do it, to get our message. But I think that's going to work for Netflix, right? They're going to be open to it. They're like, oh, well, this is great. This is just science-based. Like, you didn't go too far. This is amazing.
Excellent. It's essentially legitimate, if you will. So you've got an Indiegogo. I'll put the links down below, but I want to make sure we get as much support as possible for this fantastic project. So I'll put the Indiegogo link, and that's still live, is it? It's still bringing in some support?
Trickling in helps us fund. Like, we just filmed for the past 10 days. We went to Seattle, to Palo Alto, to LA, and then here in Denver. So we did 10 interviews in about 10 days, and so that's our last filming. So yeah, we keep leveling up this project. I got a great guy I grew up with in Hawaii who's an amazing film producer, commercial director, and he's just been taken to the next level. Check out the intro. We filmed a 3.5-minute intro that's on my Food Lies YouTube channel that took us a year to make, and you can see the quality we're going for. Like, we're going Netflix. Like, just this 3.5-minute intro, when people see it, that's how we got this celebrity on board. They're like, that's the best thing I've ever seen. So big production. Like, we have a custom composer, like, doing an entire score. We're doing motion graphics. Like, this is all out, like, top level.
Excellent. That is I'm just looking forward so much to that, to be honest. And you know what I'll do? At the end of this short interview on YouTube, I'll tack on, well, I can put the link, or I could actually, I'll rip it and tack it on, or is that okay? Or just put a link?
Just more people would need to see it. I don't care about my views, yeah.
Okay, I'll probably put it in then so it just flows at the end of this interview.
That would be awesome. We spent a lot of time on it, and it's kind of telling my personal story. And you'll see that we're not going to box ourselves into a corner. We're going to be science-based. We're going to make the absolute best film possible, because there's a lot of people watching this that are nutrition nerds, right? They're listening to the podcast. They're like going in, reading books. They're coming to these conferences like we're at. No one else in the mainstream is going to do that, right? But what we need is put it into a 6-part series that they'll actually watch, entertaining, super informative, simple, easy to understand, graphics. Then you can just share that with everyone you know, and then you can just be like, here's what I'm talking about. You don't need to do like 5 years of research or whatever. It's all there.
Perfect. And of course, when it does release, you can just sit back with a glass of wine and wait for the screeching from the anti-scientific planty people.
I can't wait for them to try to debunk it. This is another funny story, because Lane Norton's here at this conference. For years, we're like, yeah, we go back and forth online a little, and the idea is like, let's make a film that Lane Norton can't debunk, right? And then we're just like, let's just get him in the film. So we filmed with him yesterday, and he was actually really good. A lot of the same messaging, and so, yeah.
Well, disclosure also, I had some Twitter battles many years ago with Lane, and they got pretty hot. But in fairness, of late he's moderated a lot more and he's a lot more balanced. And I didn't actually catch up with him because I was very busy. But we'll get a big hug when I next catch up with him.
He's actually a nice guy. Like, I actually am a big fan now. He's a nice guy. So.
Do you hear that, Lane? You're a nice guy. Even the emperor abides. Okay, great stuff. Thanks a lot, Brian.
All right, Ivor.
How did I end up here? Well, it's a long story, but for now, I'll just say I'm Brian, and this is my film. But wait, let's back up a bit. Before Food Lies even began, I didn't just wake up, quit my well-paying engineering job, and decide to make a food documentary. You see, 8 years ago, I got the 2 worst phone calls of my life. First, my mom told me that she'd been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, which, just a reminder, has no known cure. So just like that, my world shattered. Then a few months later, my dad calls. Turns out he has stage 2 cancer. Once again, shards. I wish I could tell you they beat it, but like most, they didn't. Dad's gone, and mom could go any day now. I went through all 5 stages of grief, but after that came a 6th emotion, fear. To avoid the same fate, I thought I need to live a healthier lifestyle. But then I realized my parents were basically poster children for conventional health advice. They didn't smoke or drink, they exercised, got 8 hours of sleep. And when it came to diet, they did exactly what Uncle Sam told them. Plenty of heart-healthy whole grains, fresh fruits and veggies, low-fat everything, and of course, they avoided red meat like the plague. Then I thought there must be more to it, so I dug deeper into healthy living. The doctors agreed on most things: avoid tobacco and alcohol, get sleep and exercise. But then I looked into diet, and holy crap. If you think politics is a minefield, nutrition is nuclear. None of the doctors or scientists could agree on anything. As soon as I found an article supporting one diet, I'd find another saying the exact opposite. Low fat, high fat, no meat, all meat, screw that, eat nothing but potatoes. How could the smartest species that's ever lived be so clueless about what to eat? Even bacteria can figure that out. So that's how it started, a 6-year-long exhaustive journey. I interviewed over 200 nutritionists, biologists, archaeologists, and every other ist you can imagine. I even started a top 5 nutrition podcast that's downloaded in over 145 countries. It sucked up every last minute and nickel I had, but it was worth it. Because here's what I figured out. The history of how we got here is insanely complicated, but the answers are pretty darn simple. Lifelong health isn't hidden inside a magic berry from the Amazon. It doesn't come from chugging apple cider vinegar or doing a $500 juice cleanse. You don't need mountains of money, tons of time, or rigid discipline. You just need to know the right information, the truth. And the truth is, they got it wrong. Not just a little wrong, but wrong. Eating the right food is about more than just getting shiny new abs and fitting into your wedding dress. The right nutrition can save your life. We're spending trillions in healthcare treating chronic disease when the best medicine could be right on your plate. Unlike other documentaries you might have seen, I didn't make this because I had an agenda. I made it because I had questions. Like, how did we become a nation plagued by obesity and chronic illness? How do we figure out what to eat when the people in charge don't have a clue? We need to hit every side. The fossil records, anecdotes, genetics, clinical trials. We'll look back at the dawn of humanity and stop at every screw-up, mistake, and milestone that led us here. And even though there's no one diet to rule them all, there's a framework that can guide anyone. There really is a way of eating that's healthy, sustainable, even ethical, and it's precisely the opposite of what you've been told.
So there you have it, folks. It's going to be a superb movie and it's going to reveal everything. And as he mentioned, 6-part series to really get in all of the extraordinary amount of wild and weird kind of corruption that's been going on for decades, and to actually give the full and balanced truth on the nutritional situation for optimum health. So great stuff. Link is down below in the description box and on the screen if you can give Brian some support to really carry this project off. Thank you.